Kristen, you're up.
Thank you, Dr. Skinkis, for continuing to keep the lines of communication open with the Forest Preserve and the zoo. I appreciate
A lot of
that.
lines of communication I'm trying to keep open right now.
All right, well,
Thank
good
you.
evening. Please bear with me. I have a lot of reports tonight. I will try to go through some of them a little quicker. So attached, the first thing I'd like to report out on is the financial information for the month of October. This represents 33% of the fiscal year. So on Board Book page 16 is our monthly summary report. As you can see, the total operating revenue for the month was $1,266,078, with 64% coming from real estate taxes and CPPRT, 13% coming from federal and state reimbursements, and 12% coming from evidence-based funding, which is our state funding. Additionally, the negative revenue was listed due to transferring registration fees for AP testing and yearbook to activity accounts. That's why there's a negative amount there. Also, a side note, I was going to mention this when I talked about the levy, but for real estate taxes this year, just looking at the prior year collection, we're at 90% of what we had budgeted for. Keeping in mind we budgeted less than we normally would. We budgeted at 97% collection rate rather than 99%. But in terms of our budget, we're tracking rather well for property tax. Compared to where we should be in a normal year, we're chasing about $800,000 in terms of property tax from the previous year.
Can you repeat that, Kristen?
So if we were in a normal year, we would be chasing approximately $800,000 in revenue in property tax. If we normally we would budget 99%. This year, we budgeted less.
So we're collecting what we budgeted, is what you're saying.
We are about $380,000 less than what we had budgeted, but we're doing rather well for what we budgeted, just not as we normally would in a normal year.
So generally speaking, we're collecting less,
Correct.
no matter what we budgeted.
Correct, absolutely.
And so we're, okay, that's not good news then. I know you kind of sold that, but so then.
Well, it's good news that we're making budget. But
Yes,
it's
Right,
bad
but
news
certainly
that-
good
but
news
the
that
bad
we're-
news
Wish
is
it was more.
that
We're close to
deficit's
budget.
gonna be as big as what we were planning.
As
We were
what?
hoping to be past what we budgeted at this point because we were hoping to get
make
more
up
property
ground
tax
on that
collection.
deficit.
Right?
Sure,
We
there could
budgeted
certainly
we budgeted for worst case scenario, and you're saying it's looking like we could hit worst case scenario.
In terms of property tax for previous year, yes. The next big property tax collection doesn't come in until March. Hopefully we'll have some additional money trickle in November and December, but we've received a majority of the money that we would anticipate receiving from the previous year collection.
Awesome.
Moving on, total operating expenditures for the month were $2,400,242, with 76% going towards salary and benefits, 10% towards special education tuition, and 5% towards operations and maintenance for supplies and services. There were a few questions submitted on this page. The first question was in regards to the anticipated loss of state funding in future years due to the Fair Tax Amendment not passing. We really don't know the specifics yet. It's a little too early to tell. At minimum, I would prepare for a decrease in evidence-based funding. Best case scenarios, they would hold us flat, but there are, two camps that are currently out there. One is saying that we will regress to what our initial level was, I believe in fiscal year 2018, and others are saying that even that will be significantly cut.
And
So
even
again,
that would
it's
be,
just-
I'm sorry, repeat that, even that would be what?
There is another camp that's saying even our initial funding that we received in 2018 would be significantly cut. And so it's too early to tell, but definitely something that I'm monitoring it and staying on top of. There's also a question submitted about the amount of money spent this month in salaries compared to this month last year. This is due to several reasons. First of all, we have fewer athletic stipends. We have I think 4 seasons that were moved to a different season. Athletic contests, so there are no table workers for girls volleyball or security for football, things of that nature, announcers. And then activities such as like the homecoming dance, we would have security for fall play, things of that nature. So all of that probably accounts for about 80,000 or so. And then you also have costs due to subs are significantly down. So at this time, comparing this time this year to this time last year, the difference is about 15,000 just for this month. So that, accounts for a majority of it. And then finally, we did have some savings on salaries due to unexpected staff changes at the beginning of the year. We had 2 teachers retire unexpectedly, which was a significant savings, as well as we had a teacher that needed to leave in October as well. So it's kind of a combination of things. There was also a question submitted about the amount of money spent this month in special education tuition compared to last year this month. That's really hard to compare year to year. I certainly would say that our special ed tuition is going to be higher this year. I do anticipate that. However, bills come in at various times for special education. There's not necessarily a rhyme or reason to it. So it's really hard to look month to month. It's better to look quarter to quarter, things of that nature in regards to special education.
Well, it could be, so it's the timing.
Yes, it's very much a timing issue when it comes to special education tuition bills. Moving on to board book page 18, the summary of revenues shows that the district has received 44% of our budgeted revenue for this year. This amount is up 1% from this time last year, but again, as I previously said, keep in mind we were very conservative with our revenues that we budgeted for this year. The summary of expenditures on the next page will show that the district has spent 34% of the budgeted expenditures for the year. This amount is down from this time last year, which was 37%. Again, that's due to the delay in stipends and things of that nature that I've previously discussed. On board book page 20 begins the statement of revenues and expenditures report for the month of October. This report lists all of the revenue and expenditures for the month by account. It also compares budget to actual for each account. I believe there was a question submitted on this report on board book page 28, and it's in regards to the life safety account for Bleachers. The reason that there is a credit in this account is that initially earlier in the year, our life safety projects this year are for the roof and for an HVAC unit in the gymnastics room. And those accounts are off by maybe 1 digit, I believe, and so they were miscoded. And so this month we did the journal entry to adjust them, which is why there's that discrepancy. And then lastly, in this section of my report, the student activity account summary for the month of October is just provided for your information as I do every month. Keep in mind this month, because we had that transfer into the activity account for testing, we will now start to carry a large balance in that activity account through the month of June until we pay the College Board for all of the AP tests. So that is why that account will continue to carry a large balance.